After crushing the Bar Kokhba rebellion, quote, "The emperor ordered that the whole nation should be absolutely prevented from entering even the district of Jerusalem, and the Roman city which afterward arose changed its name, and in honour of the reigning emperor Aelius Hadrian was called Aelia." Eusebius. This hall, adjoining the eastern gate, served as a guardroom for the Roman soldiers. The tower, hall and stairwell were apparently built after the suppression of the Bar Kokhba revolt 135 CE, using debris from the destroyed walls of the Temple Mount. An identical tower and hall are situated to the west of the western gate. The hall was used as an oil press during the early Arab period and sealed up during the Crusader period. The oldest structure discovered in the Damascus Gate area is a gate tower dating from the 1st century CE, Herodian period. Its remains lie beneath the present gate. The Roman gate was built in the 2nd century after Hadrian's suppression of the Bar Kokhba revolt and the conversion of Jewish Jerusalem into a pagan city, Aeli Capitolina. The gate had 3 entrances and 2 guard towers, one on each side. In front of it was a broad plaza, in the centre of which stood a column supporting a statue of the Caesar at its top. Extant remains of this gate are the eastern entrance in its entirety, the 2 guard towers, and a considerable portion of the plaza inside the city. The gate's main street, the Cardo, led off from the plaza toward the south. During the 6th to 10th centuries, early Arab period, changes occurred in the gate structures and in the adjoining area. The entrances were partly sealed up. The towers were converted into oil presses used in the manufacture of olive oil. The stairwells became water cisterns. Large cisterns were built outside in front of the gate. In the 12th century, Crusader period, the entire gate was sealed up and a new gate was built on the higher level some distance to the north. Houses were constructed over the inner plaza, only part of which were used as a street. These houses were renovated in the 13th to 15th centuries, Mamluk period, and the vaults were added down the street further to the south. The present gate was built in 1538 during the reign of Ottoman Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent. where the upper section of the central entrance of the Roman gate had stood. The Roman towers were used as fortifications for the new towers, and thick walls were erected inside the Crusader Mamluk rooms as foundations for the Ottoman gate.
bring you out of the nations, and I will gather you from all the countries. I will bring you back to your own land, and I will sprinkle clean water on you. You will be clean from all your uncleanness.
The Western Wall, Wailing Wall, or Kotel in Hebrew, known in Islam as the Burak Wall, is an ancient limestone wall in the old city of Jerusalem. It is a relatively small segment of a far longer ancient retaining wall, known also in its entirety as the Western Wall. The wall was originally erected as part of the expansion of the Second Jewish Temple begun by Herod the Great, which resulted in the encasement of the natural steep hill known to Jews and Christians as the Temple Mount, in a huge rectangular structure topped by a flat platform, thus creating more space for the temple itself, its auxiliary buildings, and crowds of worshippers and visitors. The original natural and irregular shaped temple mount was gradually extended to allow for an ever larger temple compound to be built at its top. This process was finalized by Herod, who enclosed the mount with an almost rectangular set of retaining walls built to support the temple platform and using extensive substructures and earth fills in order to give the natural hill a geometrically regular shape. On top of this box-like structure, Herod built a vast paved platform which surrounded the temple. The very large stone blocks of the lower courses are Herodian. The courses of medium-sized stones above them were added during the Umayyad period, while the small stones of the uppermost courses are of more recent date, especially from the Ottoman period. During the period of Christian-Roman rule over Jerusalem, 324 to 638 CE, Jews were completely barred from Jerusalem except to attend Tisha B'Av, the day of national mourning for the temples. And on this day the Jews would weep at their holy places. The term Wailing Wall was thus almost exclusively used by Christians and was revived in the period of non-Jewish control between the establishment of British rule in 1920 and the Six-Day War in 1967. The Broad Wall was built during Hezekiah's expansion of the city. Jews from the northern tribes who had been overrun by the Assyrians in 721 BCE migrated down to Judah and the city of Jerusalem for protection. They settled outside the city walls to the west. To protect them and their residences, Hezekiah fortified the western part of this newly expanded city with a wall. The uncovered remains of this wall are 23 feet wide and 213 feet long. This portion of the wall ran west from the Temple Mount toward the western corner of the southwestern hill. Evidence uncovered during excavation seems to indicate that Hezekiah had to destroy some homes in order to build it. Hezekiah addresses this very issue in his book in chapter 22. And you saw the city of David had many breaches in its defences. You stored up water in the lower pool from Hezekiah's tunnel. You counted the buildings in Jerusalem and tore down houses to strengthen the wall. This is what we see here, a broad wall built through houses that had to be removed to build it. The book of Nehemiah places the broad wall near the Temple Mount when, during the dedication of the new wall, one group of priests walked in procession on the wall, past the remains of this broad wall. Nehemiah 12:38. The second choir proceeded in the opposite direction. I followed them on top of the wall, together with half the people, past the tower of the ovens to the broad wall. Paving stones apparently from the Second Temple period, circa 100 BCE to 100 CE. The street was found in its entirety 3 meters below the existing level and was partially restored by the municipality of Jerusalem.